Have you used Google Shopping in your business? Maybe you've given it a go, but you're not really sure if you're getting the best results, or you've taken a look and it just all seems too complicated. Hi, I'm Catherine Erdley. You're listening to the Resilient Retail Game Plan. I am your host, and I'm also the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership group and mastermind for product businesses. I'm joined today on the podcast by Sara Jones. She is the founder of the Online Retail Academy, and she's a specialist in Google Shopping. She's going to be talking to me today all about what it is, how to set it up, and how to get the best results for your business.
Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing: breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch, and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business.
Sara, welcome to the podcast. It's fabulous to have you with us. Do you want to start off by introducing yourself and your business?
Thank you for having me, Catherine. Yeah, I'm Sara Jones. I am the founder of the Online Retail Academy, which is a membership that teaches Google Shopping. And I also do one-to-one ads management Google Ads management for e-commerce businesses as well. In a nutshell, that's me.
That's what you do. And that's going to be what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So let's just start off by talking a little bit about Meta advertising versus Google advertising and the kind of main difference that you see.
Yeah. So I'm talking specifically about Google Shopping because people who know about advertising will know that you can do Google advertising that kind of is the equivalent of Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
But specifically, we're talking about Google Shopping here today. Facebook advertising or Meta advertising is interruption marketing. It's where you are trying to stop somebody's scroll. They're looking for cat videos or dog videos in my case. And you're hoping that you have targeted somebody because obviously they are interested in something. Let's say running shoes, whatever. I always use running shoes. I'm not a runner.
I was
And
looking at running shoes this morning, funnily enough.
just like it's always the go-to example, running shoes. And you are showing an ad to somebody in the hope that you can A, distract them for long enough to stop the scroll, B, to attract their attention to your ad so that they might be intrigued enough to click, and then hopefully they might buy. So yes, Meta ads, interruption marketing, where you are targeting people based on behaviors, what Facebook knows about them, and showing them an ad, hoping that it's an interesting enough ad to stop the scroll, that you can intrigue them enough to click on the ad, and then hopefully they will buy.
Yeah.
So Google Shopping ads is you being able to put your ad in front of somebody when they are actually, let's use running shoes as an example.
Yeah.
They are actually looking for a new pair of running shoes. They will go to Google and they will search for running shoes or Adidas running shoes or Nike Air running shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can put an ad in front of them right there. So the intention is much higher. And you can, as I said, show them the ad when they are looking for the products that you sell. And then incidentally, you only pay when they click on your ad. So if what you show them isn't interesting to them, they won't click on your ad. They only pay when they actually click on your ad. Whereas Meta, obviously, you're paying to just show the ad to somebody in the hope that they'll click. That makes sense?
Yes. And so I'm assuming, based on the fact that you have your entire online retail academy based around Google Shopping, that this is, you shared before we started recording that you had your own product business prior to. So I'm assuming from your own experience, you found Google Shopping rather much better for your business.
So I don't know. I just didn't do Facebook.
Mm,
And so Google Ads was where I started because I don't know, I just thought, oh, well, I need to get some traffic to my website because they're not going to find me otherwise. So I just had a little go at Google Ads,
mm,
and that's how I discovered it. I did it on and off for a little bit. As I said, it's a whole different story with what happened with that business because
mm,
not, I was too reliant on organic traffic. But anyway, that's where my kind of interest in Google Ads started, and where I first used what is now Google Shopping, which used to be called Frugal, and it was free.
mm,
And so that's piqued my interest. And I realized when I came back to doing it a little bit later that, oh, hang on a minute, I can actually I can spend money and get purchases directly.
mm,
So
mhm,
Facebook ads, I don't remember ever really trying Facebook ads at that time. I've
mhm,
tried it since, but I just love Google Shopping because it's so intentional that you know what people are looking for,
mhm.
and you can choose what you show up for.
Yeah,
And hopefully
be really specific.
they're going to like what they see, and they're going to like the price that they see, and they're going to want to buy from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you just run us through the difference between, for example, Google Shopping where you have the images at the top versus,
Mhm.
say, results when your people are searching in Google?
So yeah, what we call the shopping ads are, as you quite rightly say, those product images that you have running across the top. Sometimes they're down the right-hand side.
Mhm,
And those are the shopping ads, the shopping listings. The text ads, so the sponsored, you can see it says sponsored ads, and you
mm,
have usually about 4, which will be then underneath the shopping ads.
mm,
Those 4 at the top, and then you'll have some at the bottom of the page as well. And I think this is what most people think of when they think of Google Ads, where they've
mm.
tried it before. They'll set up a Google Ad account. It'll ask them for some keywords, and they'll put some keywords in. They'll put running shoes, they'll put running training
Why not?
in. They'll write some ads, and then they'll set it running. And that's what those search ads are underneath, is
Mm,
you're picking the keywords. You're saying, please show me when somebody searches these words, and show them this ad. And it's
mm,
just text. It's a headline, a couple of descriptions, and a few extra bits that you can add as well. Whereas the shopping ads across the top, um, you are then able to show them a product image. They can see the price. They can see your brand name. And very often, depending on, if you have it set up, they can see um, star rating, like review ratings. They can
mm,
see offers that you might have. They can sometimes see what returns you have if it's on sale. So there's a lot more going on in that shopping ad, and it's way more visually appealing than the search ads. Both work, incidentally, but shopping ads generally for e-commerce will work better.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. People are looking for
Yeah.
products and they can see
Yes.
pictures of products.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, are there specific types of businesses that are eligible to run Google Shopping?
Yes. Or more, it's better to say that there are some that are not eligible.
Right.
So the main criteria of physical products. So you can't,
Mhm,
if you're selling courses or PDF downloads, you can't use group. It needs to be a physical product.
mhm,
It needs to be not classed in any of the, not illegal. You can't sell firearms. You can't sell CBD type products. There's
mhm.
a few other things. So as long as it doesn't fall into any of those, like pharmaceuticals, that kind of stuff, or um, like fake goods, fake branded goods, you can't sell any of that.
Yeah.
And then you also need to, and this is an obvious one, but you need to have a fully secure checkout. So people actually
Okay.
need to be able to buy online on the
Yep.
website. It needs to be secure. And you can't have a website. So wholesale websites, you wouldn't be able to do it. If you have to log in to actually see a price,
Mm,
then you
mhm.
can't use Google Shopping for those, because obviously
Right.
the price is included in the ad. So if you have a website where somebody has to log in to see prices, then you can't use Google Shopping. There are a few other like minor things, but I think those are the main criteria. It needs to be legal, needs to be physical, and you need to have a secure checkout and prices visible on the product page.
Okay, great. So most people will be able to, majority of people listening will be able to qualify for that. And is there any
Mhm.
restriction on whether or not it's your product or if you're selling another brand, for example, anything like that? Or is that pretty much all?
No, that's fine. It doesn't have to be your own brand of products, because
Mm,
obviously resellers, people like
yeah.
John Lewis, not Marks and Spencer, because it is all Marks and Spencers, but like
Yeah.
John Lewis,
Yeah. Yeah.
all those big retailers will all be advertising on Google Shopping, well, Etsy's a perfect
Yes.
example, or not on the high street.
Mm-hmm.
They run Google Shopping ads for their sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it doesn't have to be your own brand to be selling on Google Shopping. It
Okay.
can be any brand.
Got it. Great. And
Yeah.
so someone's listening to this thinking, all right, this sounds intriguing. What do they need to have to get started?
As I said, website needs to be all set up.
Mhm.
The main things you need are a product feed. And I think this is where most people get stuck, is they see what they have to go through and they're like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. You have to have a product feed. A product feed is basically a massive file of data that basically is the data for all your products.
Mm.
So you have your website, you will have a Google Merchant Center account. So that is Google's it's almost their data warehouse for your product information. So
Right.
you will pull your product information from your website and it will be housed in Google Merchant Center, where Google will look at all that product information and say, is that valid? Are the images okay? In other words, you haven't got any inappropriate images. Are the links working? Is there a description of the product? Is there, all the data for your product is held in there in what we call the product feed.
Mhm.
And once Google says, yep, we're happy with all of that, it'll tell you if it thinks there are errors or warnings. Once it's happy with that, you then have your Google Ad account, and then you link your Merchant Center account to your Google Ad account. And then that product information then gets pushed and fed into your Google Ad account. And your
Right.
ad account is where you actually run the Google Shopping ads.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like in the most fundamental level, you've got your website, which is connected to your Merchant Center, which that's where the product information goes back and forth.
Yeah.
And then Merchant Center talks to your Google Ad account. And then and some data goes back into merchants, like clicks and impressions. You can see that kind of data
Mhm.
in there. And then in the actual ad account, that's where you run your Google Shopping ads using the data from Merchant Center.
And then in Merchant Center, so is that something, product feed, presumably it's a similar kind of, I was thinking of the, API. So it's sort of the interface that you might have that goes, say, to Instagram
Yes.
Shop and TikTok Shop.
Yes.
So Google Merchant Center, it should be fairly straightforward, if you've got Shopify or WordPress or
Yes.
Square.
Yes. If you're on Shopify, there's the Google Channel app, which basically the Google Channel app links up your analytics. So it links up your GA4, it links up your Merchant Center, and it links up your ad account as well. And it's a lot easier these days to do it than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have to use Excel files and upload it all manually. It was a nightmare. So now it's just a case of, by the way, there are other apps. The Google Channel app is the free app produced by Google. There are lots of paid apps which have additional functionality, which I'm not going to go into that, but there are additional things you can do with these apps that you can't do with the Channel app. But for basics to get started, that Channel app will set up the feed, and it will allow you to link everything together. And it has its limitations, but for people getting started, it does make life a lot easier than having to manually create these product feeds and do it all. And it keeps everything in sync. So everything, as new products get added in Shopify, it automatically gets updated. It's just like a catalog, the Facebook catalog.
Right. Yes.
It's the same principle, but obviously then you've got the Facebook app where you create your Facebook catalog for Instagram ads and whatever. It's a similar process with. And by the way, BigCommerce, you'll have apps. You have plugins for WooCommerce. All the big platforms will have some kind of plugin or app to do that side of it for you.
Okay.
Create that feed.
So it will be fairly straightforward. So what are some of the, so those are your must-haves. You've got to have a Google Merchant Center. You've got to have a Google Ads account. You've got to have a website with a checkout. But what are some of the nicer haves or the things that make it more likely to succeed?
Okay, so this is a good question, because the main thing you need, because like I explained before, it is a demand-based advertising. So you need to have people who know about your product and understand it, because they need to start searching for it. So the example I always like using is, do you remember potpourri was all the
Yeah.
rage a while ago? And so it's that spray when you go to the loo. Like, nobody knew about that. So you would never have, like, that company launched, didn't it? I think, was it YouTube ads and Facebook or something?
Mhm.
And it just skyrocketed. It was huge. But you could never have done that on Google because, like, none of us knew we needed it for a start. Nobody would have known how to even look for it.
Yeah.
So that is probably one of the biggest things is your product. People need to understand what your product is. They need to know that they need it, or at least
Mm.
they need to know that they have the problem that your product solves. Does that make
Yes.
sense? So if it's some really innovative new product that nobody kind of really yet, then you probably are better off with like Facebook,
Mm.
TikTok, or Instagram or whatever, where you can show it to people and explain how it works. And then once people understand it, they'll start searching for it on Google. So that, I would say, is the main thing,
Mhm.
because that gives you the search demand so that you can show your ad. Another big one that I think a lot of people don't, I think this is where people struggle the most, when they kind of check all the boxes. So they have a go and they set their ads running. And yes, they start their ads and they get orders and it's lovely, but they just never seem to be able to get that return on ad spend. They never seem to be able to do it really profitably.
Mhm.
And 9 times out of 10, that will be because their average order value is too low. So
Mm.
I would say, m- I tend to say ideally an average order value of £30 and above.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you can't run shopping ads, and it won't mean that you won't get sales through shopping ads. It just makes it harder to make it profitable. So if
Yes.
you've got an average order value of, say, between 30 and 100,
Yeah.
okay, you're paying for every click that comes through to your website. And so say you've got a conversion rate of, let's say, 1%, because it's easier to work out the maths.
Yeah.
You're paying 50p a click. You get 100 clicks, you get one order. So you've paid 50p a click for 100 clicks, 50 quid for
Yeah.
right foot. And then you get one order. If that order is only £15,
Yeah.
you're losing money before you start.
Yeah.
So average order value of 30 and above, I would
Decent
say.
conversion. Better your conversion rate, the better as well.
Yes, I think, and that's what you have to remember with any paid ads. This is not just Google,
Mm.
it's any paid ads, because you all look at your ads and go, oh my God, look. And you blame the ads because you say, oh, the ads aren't working. Whereas if the ads are driving good traffic to your website, it's your website's job then to actually
Mm.
convert them. So
Mhm.
you do have to think about that. If your conversion rate on your website is less than 0.5%,
Mm.
then I think you need to
So
address that
pouring water
first.
into a leaky bucket, isn't it?
And so, like, don't blame the ads and say the ads aren't working if it's just your website is really difficult to navigate and people
Mm.
can't find stuff that they're looking for, and your checkout is 6 pages long.
Yeah.
Head up before they go, and like, you don't accept PayPal or you don't accept Apple Pay or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, a decent size average order value. Once you get to high average order values as well, that adds an additional issue, because you're stepping out of the impulse sort of purchase
Mm.
level. So you
Mhm.
do have to think about that. But I think if you've got an average order value 30 to 75,
Mhm.
that's probably about the sweet spot, I'd say.
Right.
Again, not to say it's impossible to do it, just makes it a little bit harder, and you have to know what you're doing
Yeah.
if your average order value is a bit lower to make it profitable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so when you set up the shopping ads, are you then looking, so presumably you need to know what people will be searching for your products as well, right? You need to know, are they searching
Yes.
for
Yeah.
sustainable UK fashion or
hmm
gift hampers from new
So
mums or
yes. Yeah. So this is where your keyword research goes in. So I mentioned earlier about these search ads where, you say, here are my keywords.
Mhm.
Please show an ad when somebody searches for this. With Google Shopping, here is my product information. You decide when to show somebody an ad. That's basically what you're saying to Google. So
Right.
it's our job as advertisers to make sure that product information, and I'm talking predominantly product titles
Mhm.
and product descriptions,
Mhm.
contains and phrases that people will actually be using. This
Mm.
is an example that I found, and this is when people start talking about feed optimization. This is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I found an example because I was looking for an example to try and illustrate this. So I found a website that sold sweatshirts, and they had like a Christmas Rudolph sweatshirt. So it had like just this motif of a red nose and some antlers on the front of a grey sweatshirt. Okay. And the product, as I recall, was something like the Rudolph one. Like that was the product title. Okay.
Mhm.
And I looked at the product description and it was talking all about, they had all this lovely imagery about reindeers and Christmas and all this kind of stuff. Nowhere did it say anywhere that was a grey sweatshirt. Okay. So if you put that in a shopping feed and ran an ad, how would Google even know that you have a grey sweatshirt if somebody's searching for a grey reindeer sweatshirt?
Yeah.
Like, unless you have that in your product title and your description, how is Google going to know that product is relevant to what somebody's searching? So that's our job as retailers, to do that bit of research. Because I think creative people, particularly, we're very good at this. We have these beautiful products and we don't just say, I can't think of a product. This is a blue crossbody bag.
Right.
Okay. We will call our blue crossbody bag, it'll be the Adele.
Yeah.
Okay? And so our product title will be the Adele. And that does tell Google that it's a blue crossbody
Yeah.
bag.
Big retailers used several years ago now. I worked for the clothing retailer Coast that now
Mm.
as part of the Boohoo group is one of their brands, but the days when it was independent and they had the same thing. I remember having the e-commerce team having this argument with the buying team because everything was the Laurie Lee dress and this dress, and they were like,
Yeah.
"No, this there's nothing."
And it's worth mentioning actually, because I know there will be people out there going, "Yeah, I don't want to, I want my website to still say it's the Laurie Lee dress. Don't want to have to say, I don't want to have a product title that looks like one of these things on Amazon. You know what I mean? That says maxi long floor dress, floor length, gathered.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You can have a different product title in your shopping data for Google than you have on your website. You can do that so that you're telling Google, these are the keywords, this is what's relevant. But your website can still say the Laurie Lee dress or the Adele bag. So there are, you don't have to have these massively long keyword stuffed product titles on your beautifully designed website. You can just give that information to Google to say, this is the
it.
product title we want you to see so that it's relevant for what people search.
So the key thing is getting the photos, getting the data feed going to Google and making sure that in that data feed it's got enough information that Google can then decide when to show it to people.
Yes.
So what kind of budget do people need to be thinking about for this kind of shopping ad?
So it's not like meta ad, where I think generally people tend to say, oh, you have to have at least so much a day to make meta ads work. With Google, you literally can start with like a $5 a day. You could start with £1 a day if you wanted to. The difference is the longer it will take you to get the data, to start being able to optimize, to be able to tweak things and edit things to get the results that you want. So most people, I'd say just if you can start with £5 or £10 a day, then, you'll be fine. So what, £10 a day would be about just over £300 a month. And I think for a lot of people, they just want the reassurance that it's going to work, so that they don't want to throw £1,000 at something they're like, oh, I don't know if it's going to work. It might waste a load of money. So I always say, just start small, because once you start seeing a few orders coming through, then that gives you the confidence. And if you're getting a good return on ad spend, then why wouldn't you put the budget up?
Yeah.
And then you can slowly increase the budget as you get more confident, as you get your result as you want them, as you're doing your tweaking and optimizing as you're going forward. But yeah, £5 a day is what you can start with. No problem at all with Google Ads.
Okay, thanks for bringing up the return on ad spend, because that was going to be my next question really, was that I know you can't say, oh, you will get X return on ad spend, but what is, because it's one of those, how long's a piece of string, right? But what is sort of average or not unreasonable to expect?
Okay, I have several different, obviously I have clients across several different niches.
Mm.
I've got a games retailer, and he all day long gets 700 to 800% return on ad spend.
Wow.
It's tabletop games, massively popular. There's a huge market, amazing. I've got a client that sells like oxygen concentrators and CPAP machines and
Mhm.
nebulizers and stuff like that. We get all day long, maybe 400% return on ad spend. So it can be anything. I think the important question to ask is actually what you have to understand what your numbers need to be.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I've got another jewelry brand who, because it's her own brand, she has really good margins.
Mm.
So while we're getting sort of 4 to 5 ROAS on hers, she could probably get a 3 ROAS and still be profitable because she has such good margins.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing I think that so it worries me that people would just pick a number from it because they think, oh, I have to get 600% ROAS.
Mm.
Because like everybody tells me that's what a really good ROAS is, 600%. Well, for your business, 300% ROAS might be really good,
Depends on
and
your margin.
600%
Yeah.
ROAS might be awful. Like if you're selling products that only have like a 20% margin,
Mm.
600% ROAS, you're probably like, "Oh, it probably needs to be a bit better than that even, you
Yeah.
know? So, I
Yeah.
mean, I do have calculators in the membership where you can plug in all that stuff in your product cost and it gives you what your ROAS would need to be to actually make a profit. But yeah, again, it's influenced by the competition, it's influenced by your average order value, it's influenced by just the type of product you have, what the demand is.
Mhm.
But I tend to, whenever I start working with somebody new, I tend to pitch it like I say 400, let's go 400. That's where
Mhm.
I'm aiming for.
Mhm.
And then once we get there as on a brand new account, once you hit 400, then we look and see where we can
Yeah.
push it. And
So for every £1 spent,
yeah,
you're getting £4
£4
sales.
out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sales, not
Yeah.
profit. But just to make that point
Yes.
again.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, it's super useful. And just one last question. There's obviously been a lot of chat with ads and of all kinds about increasing costs. What are your feelings about Google ad costs over, in the year ahead? Have you seen a shift? What are your thoughts? How are you feeling about?
I think it's fair to say that ad costs have risen across
Mhm.
all platforms
Mm.
over the last few years. We had that wonderful boom over during COVID, didn't we? But it's all coming sort of back to normal
Mm.
now. I I don't I look at the future and I think, I don't know, is it gonna they probably are gonna continue going up because more people are gonna be advertising. To me, I feel that a run ad account, it shouldn't really matter. Because if your ad costs have gone up, everybody's ad costs have gone up. Okay.
Right.
And so as a retailer, you should be monitoring all of that. If all your costs are going up, then you need to be putting your product prices up as well. Yes, I know it's not ideal, but ultimately we're in business to make money.
Mhm.
I think we need to focus on like, are we making money in this account? You
Mhm.
know, yes, maybe our ad costs have gone up over what they were last year. But as long as we can still do the work, still do the optimization,
Mhm.
and still keep an eye on our numbers so that we know that we're making a profit, I think there's still scope for massive things and for retailers to have really good success. And yes, I think you can compete with the big boys, which is, I just want to put that in there because a lot of people, I tend to think, oh, how can I compete with people with £100,000 budgets? You can. You just need to do the work and know what you're doing and set it up right. You can grab your little share,
Grab your piece of the pie.
your little piece, yes, of the pie. But we
Fantastic.
just want a little piece of the pie, don't
Yeah.
we? Like most of us don't want the whole pie. We just want a little piece to keep us going and to make our little bit of impact in the world. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been a really fascinating conversation. And why not finish off by letting everyone know where they can find out more about working with you and your membership?
Okay, that'd be lovely. Yes, my membership is the Online Retail Academy. So it's just at onlineretaileracademy.com. And if you go to onlineretaileracademy.com/quiz, there is actually a little Google Shopping quiz, which is like 9 questions, takes about 30 seconds to answer. And it will actually tell you whether Google Shopping is likely to work for you. That's quite handy to get you
Fantastic.
started.
Yeah.
On Instagram, I'm _online retail academy. And I would love to have you come along and say hi and yeah, share your stores with me. so I can follow you back.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to go check out Sara's quiz about whether or not you're ready to start running Google Ads on her website. You can get the link in the show notes below. And also don't forget to rate and review the podcast. If you have a minute, you can rate and review it in Apple Podcasts, and you can also rate the podcast within the Spotify app. If you have a minute as well, then why not follow or subscribe to the podcast? And that way you'll be the first to know about every new episode that comes out each Thursday morning. See you then.